Darling, 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 darling. I've got a beer today. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. I tried to drink it out of the bottle a moment ago and it went down my face. But I'm going to try again. Here's to you. Yeah, it's good. But this is chapter 2 of Mel Belli. I wish, if you don't know who he was, that you would look him up online. And then you will appreciate my stories more. Because he was an incredibly accomplished man while being a scoundrel at the same time. And maybe most accomplished men are. That seems to have been my story, at least. When I went to, at the time I met Mel Belli, my career was just taking off. And McGraw-Hill wanted to meet me in New York for my book, How to Be a Party Girl. So I was going there, and then I was going to Chicago because Hart Schaffner and Marx wanted to consult with me because one of the things I had going was I was teaching grooming and customer service for several banks, including Bank of America and so forth. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. And so anyway, when I decided to go to New York, Mel Belli wanted to go with me, darling. And so did Alex Haley, because Alex and Mel were trying to come to an agreement on Alex writing Mel Belli's biography. Didn't happen, but that's what they were doing together. So when I went to New York, I went up to McGraw-Hill, and I really was naive. I don't exaggerate. I had no idea how the book business worked, and it was a good thing I didn't, because I march in and I go right into the publisher's office, whose name was Frank Taylor, and it didn't hurt that Mel Belli was along. And Mel Belli took over the entire office, and everyone was goggle-eyed looking at this man. And he commandeered a desk, a secretary, making phone calls. Oh, God knows where he was calling in the world. But the McGraw-Hill people were fascinated by this whole thing that was going on around me. And I had like 5 pages of my book written, and I said, I'm writing a book. And Frank Taylor was very sweet. And anyway, they ultimately did publish my book, and we became very good friends. But from New York, we went on to Chicago. And Mel said, we've got to go on the Chicago Limited because it's the last time it's going to run. So we go down to get our tickets, and Alex Haley was along, and we'd become very dear friends. And Mel goes up to the ticket taker and said, 2 adults and 1 child. And this woman looked out and she said, where's the child? And Mel said, right here, and pulled Alex up with him. Well, poor Alex, he understood Mel by then. And this woman said, he can't be your child. And Mel said, well, he is. We adopted him. And the woman was so flabbergasted by the audacity of this man that she gave us 2 adult and 1 child ticket to go to Chicago on the Chicago Limited. And while we were going on the train, we had berths and so forth. And Mel, which was typical, I learned, had been drinking too much, so he went to bed early. And Alex and I sat up and talked, and we talked from the heart. And is there anything better than that? If you find someone with whom you can really talk, that you can really share your life with and your feelings. Not many people listen, We're all big talkers sometimes, but not many people really listen and listen with the heart. And Alex and I both listened with our heart, and it turned into such a wonderful friendship. When we got to Chicago, Alex had something he had to do, and so guess where we stayed? We stayed at the Playboy Bunny House. We did. Hugh Hefner was a friend of Mel's, of course. And I was goggle-eyed then. What's this? Oh. And while we were there, Mel had an interview on the Cupsonet show. And Cupsonet, it turns out, was a big deal in America and certainly in Chicago. And his show was shown everywhere. So Mel says, we're both going to do the show. And I said, I'm not booked on the show. He said, you're going to do it with me. So he took me along, and I'm always game for whatever to some degree. And we had such a good time, and it was a taped show. And that evening, Mel took me to dinner at this very posh restaurant. Can't remember the name of it, but we ordered this extravagant banquet of food. And suddenly, just before the food was delivered, Mel said, "Oh, the Cupsonet show is going to be on. We have to go watch it." So he said to the waiter, "Pack everything up. We're taking it with us to the Playboy Bunny house. You know what I mean. Playboy house." So anyway, that's what we did. And we sat on the floor and had a picnic of that lavish, smushed together dinner while we watched ourselves on television. Talk about silliness and fun and not being afraid to do what you really want to do. That was Mel Billi personified. Even though, as I will tell you later, what a scoundrel he turned out to be. But you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world, darling. Let's keep drinking our beer.